And, I often, again, am asked, how does this all work? I don't understand why people do this. And so I wanted to take you through a little bit of how the wiki actually works so that when you go to Wikipedia or you go to Wikia, you can tell your friends that you know how it works now. So here's an example. This is the sports section of Wikia. Even this homepage about sports was entirely written by volunteers. And how do they do that? Well, if you see, there are a variety of tools you can use up here, and I'll walk you through a few of them. So you click on the edit link. Here you are on the NASCAR wiki, which is an American version of car racing. And you can actually go in and you can edit. And there are very many things about Wikipedia, and we use the Wikipedia software as our base that are a bit confusing to the normal person. For example, 3 colons is bold, 2 colons is italic, brackets means a hyperlink. Well, it turns out when I joined Wikia, I didn't know how to do this sort of editing, and so being a new person, I said, well, why can't you just do something easier, and why do I have to learn all of this complex language? So one of the things we're doing is trying to make it easier, and this is our new editor, which we've launched on a few of our wikis, that allows very simple WYSIWYG editing. Today, if you want to edit on a couple of the wikis now, we're able to give you much simpler editing tools, and one of the classic truisms in the internet is if you make it easier, more people come. So part of my job is to try to do that. The other thing that exists on a wiki is what's called recent changes. And the recent changes link is usually on the left-hand side here. And when you go to it, what you see here is actually every change that has ever been made to this. You can see who made it. You can see the history of the page. You can see that this was an increase in characters. You can see what page was changed, what time it was made. And so this is how the volunteers monitor bad behavior, good behavior. They sit on this page and they watch all of the changes. It's like watching your stock ticker and seeing the pricing change all the time. It's a very addictive page that people spend a lot of time on. So if you're very passionate about a topic, you'll come and you'll bookmark this page or get an email alert anytime this page changes. And you can see everything that's going on. And one of my first questions when I got to Wikia was, well, how do you know who are the good people and the bad people? Shouldn't there be some mathematical scoring system, computer model like all of the PhDs have? And Jimmy looks at me and he says, well, we know everyone and we see what they do. It's actually very simple. We don't need these complex computer models because turns out most people are basically good, and this is something I learned from eBay as well, right? eBay works because people are good. And if there are a few bad people, they can become a problem. And so we really focus on giving the tools to the many good people to allow them to fix the problems and to find the bad people, because we're not always smart enough to do it. So here you can see a few of the things you can look at on a page. You can edit the page. You can see the history just of this page. You can delete the page. You can move it. You can protect it. So there is within the wiki culture something called an edit war, where I make a change, you change it back. I make the change again, you change it back. I make the change again, you change it back. And so protection allows one of the volunteers to come in. They simply click this button and they say, okay, no changes today. Let's give people a little time to calm down. Let's let them talk. And then once we've discussed it, we can decide what the right answer is. And the talking, by the way, goes on over here. Next to each article, there's a discussion page where you can go and see the discussion about this page. So that's an example of another way where we give users really an unusually high level of control. That not only can they create the page, they can delete it, they can change it, they can protect it. They have IP blocking, so some of the more senior volunteers can actually block your IP and prevent you from editing permanently if they decide you're a bad person. It's a remarkable level of control. Here's another example where you can go into a particular change. So here is the current version. Here is the version as of a few minutes before, And then the software actually shows you this line changed. He changed it from 42 to 45 centimeters. He changed it from finish, start, lead to, it looks like, abbreviations. And he added some information about what type of car it was. So again, as a volunteer, I can go in and very quickly see, okay, this looks like someone doing something good, not someone doing something bad. I believe it. I'm going to let this continue. And in part, I can go and I can research the person. So each person has a user page. So this is the user DarthDoc66, and you can see he's a fan. You can see what drivers he's interested in, what road races he's interested in. And it's another way to learn about the person and to develop trust and feeling of working together, which is really a key to what we do. And when it works, it really works. This is an example of one topic that recently launched in September and is already roughly tripled in page views just in the first month, because people get excited and they get involved and it starts growing. And that's what we look for, is these sorts of projects that you don't have to do all of the work every day. You come in, you get them started, and people come on and take over and kick us out and really take charge of these things. We've seen tremendous growth, again, worldwide. Interestingly, Latin America is actually a very large source of growth lately, which is probably one of the reasons Spanish is so popular on the site. And more recently, Jimmy's been asking, can it work anywhere? And the story that he explained to me that sort of got me started on this is he said, I have, web email. I forget if he uses Yahoo Mail or Google Mail. But he goes, and every day I get spam, right? And they have hundreds of computers, thousands of computers trying to prevent spam. They have all these complex algorithms and math that they use to try to identify what is spam. And despite all these PhDs and all of this analysis, how many people here in the room still get spam? I know I do, right? So it turns out computers are good for some things, but they're not perfect for everything. And you get the page, right? When you see an email that's spam, you know it. You look at it and you go, this isn't good. This is bad stuff. So Jimmy said, maybe we can do that in search also, because it turns out search engines have a lot of spam. And despite all the math and all the computers they use to try to determine the best results, sometimes you see a result or you go to a page from a search engine and it's not good. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. What if you could let human beings get involved in fixing search results as well? So that was the notion. And what we have now at search.wikia is a page where if you don't like the results, you can go in and edit. You can delete them. You can leave comments on why it's good or not. And so you can actually edit not only this title, but also the description. So this, for example, that's really not a good description. I'm going to go in and fix it because I find it annoying. And more recently, we've launched this notion of widgets where if you think there's a better answer than just a search result, you can actually write a small computer program that we run for you that will collect results from somewhere else. So in this case, this is Tampa and San Francisco. And if you type this in, someone built a little widget that brings back a kayak search engine search result, because they go, people looking for that set of words are definitely not looking for a website. They're looking for an airline ticket. So that was all programmed, again, by volunteers who can add software to the search engine. Again, much like Wikia and Wikipedia, you can see the changes. So you can see someone from this IP address made a change to the Italian, to Democrazia, and added a Wikipedia link. And here's someone else who went into Presidencia in Portuguese and added a link to a government site in Brazil. So people coming in, adding new links, improving existing, deleting old ones. And so really my question for all of you who are working in the internet is, do you have a product or a piece of software or something you're selling or you're promoting where you can take your audience and leverage these sorts of open source tools so that you and your customers can together build very deep content about the things you're already involved in? And that's really what we do. It's what we encourage everyone else to do, and we're happy to help. So if you have questions or thoughts later, Here's my email address. Feel free to drop me a note. And with that, I just want to say thank you. And I have a headphone so I can take questions if need be. So here's an example. This is the sports section of Wikia. Even this homepage about sports was entirely written by volunteers. And how do they do that? Well, if you see, there are a variety of tools you can use. I didn't know how to do this sort of editing, and so being a new person, I said, well, why can't you just do something easier? And why do I have to learn all of this complex language? So one of the things we're doing is trying to make it easier. And this is our new editor, which is up here. And I'll walk you through a few of them. So you click on the edit link. Here you are on the NASCAR wiki, which is an American version of car racing. And you can actually go in and you can edit. And there are very many things about Wikipedia, and we use. And I often, again, am asked, how does this all work? I don't understand why people do this. And so I wanted to take you through a little bit of how the wiki actually works, so that when you go to Wikipedia or you go to Wikia, you can tell your friends that you know how it works now. The Wikipedia software is our base that are a bit confusing to the normal person. For example, 3 colons is bold, 2 colons is italic, brackets means a hyperlink. Well, it turns out when I joined Wikia,